Welcome to your first 60 Days podcast series, a series of conversations dedicated to helping new executives integrate into new organizations with ease. Today, I'm joined by Natasha Miller, who's had a 30-year executive career working across all different contexts and different kinds of organizations, and currently sits on the board of 4 and advises many organizations, predominantly around driving growth and adding value to the world. The piece that I loved in particular about Natasha, and she's got many golden nuggets, is she reminds us to keep the human at the forefront of each conversation. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Natasha.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for creating this space. I absolutely know that you stretch yourself across a number of environments with board responsibility, advising responsibility, and being an advocate for lots of different types of organizations, including founders, because I know we've had that conversation previously as well. So I would love to draw on that breadth and depth.
Sure.
And of course, specifically for executives who are starting a new journey in a new organization.
Yes.
Let me start, if I may, with our own experience, because I think that's a really great place to build from. From moving around your own leadership journeys, including and through into your CEO roles, what have you learned of that onboarding that you would say, these are the must-haves, these are the non-negotiables? Let's start there.
Okay. So this is through a lot of trial and error.
Good.
And lots of mistakes.
Yes.
But certainly this served me well. Whether it's a deal breaker, who knows, but it definitely served me well, which was try and solve quickly a few easy, quick problems for a few key people.
Yes. In
other words, get a little bit of credit in the bank as quickly as you can.
Love it.
And I remember my second general management role was publishing director of Draper's, a trade magazine. And the teams were quite cool and funky and fashion and all of that. And I really wasn't. I mean, despite the outfit today, I'm not, well, actually that made me sound like, even though I look really cool, forget that, it's all good. But anyway, they were much more steeped in fashion than I was. And I was thinking, okay, so I'm not going to win on that. So what do I need to do? Oh, I know, I'll help with X, Y, and Z. And one of those things was helping the fashion editor clear out his fashion cupboard because it needed to be done. And I thought, well, why not? And I'll spend 20 minutes getting to know this guy. And I think just those tiny little things. I mean, it sounds simple, doesn't it? But
that's the relationship build, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And just happy to be mucking in and all of that. Look, I was a lot younger. I think I was 29 or something at the time. I'm not sure I would use that exact same example, but getting nice, easy, just help us at a few problems that only your job title can maybe help, or just gives you the opportunity to build some trust. The other real big deal breaker for me is go and see as many customers as you can in those first 30, 60, 90 days, even before you start.
Okay.
Because coming in with your own perspective and your own anecdotes, I guess, from customers and potentially prospects goes a very long way.
Yes.
Because there'll be some individuals that are huffing and puffing that there's somebody who doesn't know the market that's in a senior role. There'll be some people that maybe wanted the job themselves.
Yes.
And there'll be some people dying for input from a senior leader. And if you turn up and say, I know nothing, that's a bit irritating. So seeing as many people as you can beforehand who are paying customers or even suppliers or competitors to come with a bit of a hypothesis while you're learning.
And what I hear there is you're building early credibility as part of that.
Nice.
Love
language.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything that you'd say, oh my goodness, with the benefit of hindsight, don't do these things?
I'm just having a good thing.
Have a rummage.
Yes. I'm trying to think of the examples because, of course, lots of things. Oh, I've got a good one. Okay. So it was that same role. So I'm really drawing on something that's sort of 25 years ago, but that's all right. And I remember sort of week 3 being nominated by other senior leaders to go and ask the chief exec for a pay rise for a particular individual.
Yes.
And I said to my peers, look, I don't know that this is the right thing yet. And they said, well, it is. And here are all the reasons. And I thought, well, okay, fine, I'll go and do that. Anyway, I remember about sort of 5 minutes in, the chief exec allowed me to do the speech that I'd prepared, but didn't know whether it was truth or rooted in this being the right thing. And he just turned around to me and he said, I'm not enjoying this conversation.
Wow.
And I thought, yeah, I don't blame you. Now I'm really not enjoying it. And he said, you've clearly been nominated by your peers, which makes me cross with them. But also, why have you done this? You don't know whether this is the right thing. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Good. Okay. Well, lovely being in touch.
What a great learning, though.
Really good learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
get your
really
grinding first.
Yeah.
Stand behind what you believe in.
That's
exactly
right. That's exactly right.
And that brings up a really important point here is what do you discern as being a reasonable period of time by which you can actually stand your ground with a firm view, with substance, with the appropriate data, whatever data looks like in that organization? What would you say that time period is from your experience?
Well, look, from my experience, you're building knowledge throughout the time, throughout those first 90 days, because I think that's what we're focused on, aren't we? 60, 90 days. You're building knowledge. So in certain areas, you can maybe build that quickly and have authority to be able to say X is X. Yeah. Also, what experience are you bringing with you?
Yes.
So there may be portions that you can be pretty confident in and credible in quickly. And I can certainly think of examples. I'm working with a number of organisations now, content-led organisations, and I'm pretty experienced and knowledgeable about how to run subscription businesses.
Yes.
So I feel very confident to very quickly say, okay, there are a few golden rules. We're fabulous at half of them, but here's 3 more that we should be looking to apply quite quickly. Would feel very good about doing that quickly.
Yes.
But when it comes to things that you need to build more knowledge around, then I think it's less about nothing, I now know and can be authoritative.
Yes.
I think you're signposting. So I mentioned hypothesis earlier.
Yeah.
So an example would be, look, I've got a real feeling with what I can see so far that we should probably be going in this direction, but I need to stress test it a bit.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm also going to ask a few customers, but this is what I think we're working towards.
Okay.
And you're not then saying absolutely 100% without the credibility, because that's just silly, isn't it?
Yes, you're socialising and preparing the ground.
Well, it's socialising, but it's just being sensible.
Yes.
Like in anything, if you're not 100% sure, you're just it's like any relationship. You're just having a conversation with your team and saying, I think this is probably the direction we should go. And for any senior leader, you'd hope that was something that they knew before they started the role, because they've done lots of preparation and persuaded themselves that this is a role that would be good for them and that they would be good for the organisation and for others. But not to be so dogmatic as to look a bit silly, because, what happens when you're dogmatic and then you need to do a bit of a change, you're called you're doing a U-turn, or whatever, you're a bit of an idiot, you're a bit annoying. But this is just a relationship, and the people that you are, whether it's laying the ground or whatever you want to say, they're just all part of the machine to take whatever organization you're in, whatever system you're in the right direction and get it going well. So I feel less here is a program of things that need to happen, and more have your senses about you, have your antenna up. Where are the dissenters? Where are the people who are feeling a bit complicated about either a new person or a new direction? And engage appropriately. And making judgment calls all the time. So I know with some dissenters, so I'm not going to say which organisation, but I'm working with an organisation at the moment where both the board and the senior leadership, there was so much misalignment in what people or what they represented, the organisations that they were representing, or indeed representing themselves, of what they wanted or what a good result was, and so many different ways of expressing that, ranging from deeply unhelpful from deeply unhelpful to massively unhelpful.
Right.
So, pretty unhelpful. And I had a choice to make of, do I put masses of effort into these individuals to get them into the right place? Or do I make the tough call of, no, that's effort that's not going to get us to the place we need to get. So I actually went about, and it was a tough thing, removing most of the people from the board and replacing them with individuals with great experience, much more alignment. Not yes people by any stretch, still very challenging, but moving from the scale of unhelpful to helpful.
Yes, indeed. I'd love to explore both spectrums of bringing your key stakeholders, meaning you're more senior, the chief exec example that you mentioned a moment ago, but then also how do you bring your team with you? Let's go senior stakeholders first.
Okay.
So for those new executives, so I hear the stay grounded, common sense, build a relationship, build trust, and keep conversations running. Is there anything in addition to that you would layer on for getting your key stakeholders, and that might not just be the CEO, you've sat in the seat, what else would you add into the mix?
Excuse me, hitting the microphone. So with all new businesses that I have been involved in, regardless of whether I had a boss or not, so when I was chief exec of Essential Intelligence, I would often have new businesses that would come into my portfolio. And I had a group chief exec as a boss. So I sat as a CEO and I had a group chief exec. So I feel like what I'm about to share, I think works at all levels. But what I always kept in mind and still keep in mind, because I'm often working with new companies now, are three things. There's three things I'm assessing. The first is the business operating in a market that's currently growing? In other words, have we got gorgeous momentum in the market? So we could say at the moment AI, whatever. But am I in a market that's growing? Because then any old idiot can help a business keep growing and keep up with the market. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't take on an organisation that isn't in a growing market, because I've got plenty of those. But it's just having that real awareness of whether you are or you aren't. And if there's anything that you can do to pivot
Yes.
into a better stream, a
Yes.
better
Yeah.
sort of what's it called? A rising air.
Yes.
I can't think what that's called. An air pocket or whatever would be the opposite. But anyway, the birds are flying on a whatever. Anyway, that vent, is it? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, so is there a way that I can pivot to be in a more favourable market? Secondly, is my product great? It doesn't have to be incredible, but it has to be better than others or different from others in a positive way. And if it's not, again, that's okay. But what can I do to give it either more greatness or more uniqueness, more unique parts of it? There's almost nothing that's completely unique. And then the third thing is, regardless of the answer to those first two, sell the hell out of whatever you've got.
Yes.
And I've done that with almost all the businesses that I've worked with. And almost always we can get an uplift in revenue by just doing really good selling. The basics, the fundamentals of a sales operation, which we can talk about if that's helpful. But sell the hell out of it. Almost always, and I can't think of an example where this hasn't happened, I've had an uplift in, let's say, anywhere between 5 and 20% on the top line in those first few months while you get that sort of momentum and excitement. That then just gives you, your teams, if there's anybody above you, the confidence, bit of time, a bit of space to go in, and a bit of cash, bit of resources of this additional revenue to go back in and make those pivots either from a market point of view or a product point of view. And that really is a lovely cycle of, I've got a bit more cash, everybody feels a bit happier, a bit more winning. Bit buoyant. And I can use that to put back into the product. And then, of course, you've got a happy cycle then.
Absolutely.
So that as an approach is really consistent for me and has served really, really well in both supporting the relationships and the trust and credibility up, down, sideways, and signposting those things, I think really matters and is incredibly helpful. Because I don't know what the answers are for the product, I don't know what the answers are for the market, but I'm going to find out. In the meantime, we're going to sell the hell out of it, and because that will help us learn fast as well. And we can learn quickly what's working, what's not working, and mostly you get a very favourable response internally and externally to that.
Well, I think that's really particular. Obviously, it's massively helpful once you're in role. What I also love in terms of how that's helpful is as people are preparing for their role, go, which of these seem to be the sweet spot that I'm going to leverage, and how do I prepare to stand in each of those spaces? So it's kind of preparing them for how am I going to enter?
Do you mind if I just adjust that?
Of
because
course.
I don't think it's a witch. I think the sell the hell out is a that's happening. It just gives you the space and the time to be able to assess the product in the market.
Got it.
As opposed to, I'm going to focus on one of these. Because if you just focus on the product, the person up there is not very happy. If you're just focusing on tweaking the market, everybody in there is like, this is a bit scary. But if you've got a bit more momentum, you've got a bit more dosh coming in, a bit more revenue, everybody's a bit more relaxed. And
wonderful.
Open to change.
So it gives them something to enter with. So let's spend a little bit of time now in terms of, as the new senior leader, whatever that role might be, how do you enter in a way that you can get the team on board as quickly as possible, settled, working on those things? What's your counsel?
Well, nothing beats spending time with people and choosing people to spend time individually. And choosing time to spend with people in groups. There's a lot of listening to do, and the balance between listening and playing back. And also bringing something additional. And what I mean by that is, and when consultants used to do this to me when I was in as an exec, I used to eye roll, which was for the first sort of 4 sessions, all they would do was listen. And I'd be like, well, this is really boring. You've added no value. I've done all the talking. You've had 4 hours of my time. This better be worth it. I've got no signals from you that this investment is worth it yet.
Yes.
And I think the same is true for a senior leader and the teams that they inherit. If I'm getting a new boss in, I really want them to listen to me, definitely.
Yes.
But I also want to know what they're bringing to the party.
Yes.
Because this is a big investment. This impacts me. I'm now thinking of somebody coming above me. This is going to impact me a lot. Am I going to be the subject matter expert? What are you going to teach me?
Yes.
I need to know all of those things.
Yeah.
So I would caution against only listening. I would think that this is a probably 70-30 moment where you're listening for 70% of the time, 20% of the time you're playing back for understanding and supporting the person doing the talking that you've heard properly, and 10% adding either a different spin or not spin, that's the wrong word, adding from
another
your own experience, adding to the situation, and I'm going to hold that, and all of that good stuff. I would say that balance has created a sort of speedy trust and building of a relationship.
Thank you. Could we move on to what might be different? And there may not be many, but let's see if we can figure out if there's any distinctions between entering as a senior exec into a PLC versus family owned versus private equity. I know that you spent time in lots of different contexts. What do you see as the difference that someone needs to be tailoring, maybe not wholesale change, but tailoring their approach as they enter into those different arenas?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind asking that question is, regardless of ownership, it's only people.
Yes.
And remembering that these aren't, ownership and capital structures and all of that, they're just constructs. At the end of it, you've got people with certain motivations, certain fears, certain goals, certain things to protect, certain things to want that they want to give up, and or let go of is probably a better word. And holding that as 90% of what you need to be figuring out matters more than, okay, what's the structure, and then there are fixed things with that structure. Now, there will be somebody who's mortgaged their house, their reputation's on the line, their name's above the door, they're not making a profit yet, all of that. Clearly the intensity there is strong, and it's very close to home, and there's a lot of personal identity and all of that stuff. But you could say the same for a chief exec in a PLC. It's really public. It's pretty intense. Their reputation's on the line. Their name's above the door. These things they're very similar. They're very similar. Now, clearly what's different often is time horizons. The motivations. A founder, it may be about personal wealth, or it may be about proving that their idea is brilliant. For a PLC, it might be leader, it may be about legacy, it may be about sort of status, or it may be it may be about wealth generation for maybe they are feeding extended members in their family, and all of that. Who knows? But being aware of the fact that we behave really weirdly based on...
Guilty.
Yeah, we're all weird. And we're all just a product of all of the factors, personal, private, childhood, parent, all of that stuff, what's happened to us. So just don't be an idiot and understand that. And that will work.
Yes.
For private equity, we know it's a short horizon. We know that it's all about value creation in a short amount of time. You may have to do a few things that don't feel great, in terms of churning higher profits.
Yes.
That maybe you wouldn't do if you were in a PLC, or maybe you wouldn't do if it was your own business. You'd put money back in. But none of those things are really, really sort of key to success. What's key to success is working out how do I get the best out of everybody that's involved?
Yes.
And that's really sort of tapping into the fact that they are human beings with their own gorgeous motivations.
Yeah. That really, for me personally, that really resonates, in particular because I'm often asked about what kind of clients I and my team work with. And so, do you work in corporate? Do you, X, Y? And I hate the word corporate.
Yes.
Because I always push back and say, regardless of the context, we are working with human beings who are ready to do their own work.
Yeah.
And that's the only criteria. I know your criteria is, or one of them, is are they adding value to the world?
Yeah.
Mine is, are they ready to do their work?
That's nice. Yeah.
So, remembering we're working with humans is, I think, is a really good thing to keep our feet on the ground with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other words of wisdom you would give to executives listening to this conversation? Say, as you prepare yourself, in addition to everything you said, of course, is there anything else?
Yeah, look, I would. And this is really pre-starting.
Yes.
The decision to join an organisation at any level is the risk, or the risk is a lot higher for the individual than it is for the organisation.
Yes.
Me as running an organisation, I've hired lots of senior leaders. If it doesn't work out, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
But it's not tragic.
Yes.
It doesn't cause me huge amounts of pain. And I will make that decision reasonably quickly, and I'll go and find another one and I'll learn from it.
Yes.
For the individual, it's painful.
Yeah.
I've chosen to join this organisation. I've talked about it on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I'm proud, I'm delighted, all the words I've used.
Yes.
And it hasn't worked out. Yikes, that's painful. There's always a way to tell the story, and that's fine. No one, hopefully nobody sort of really suffers from a role not working out, because that's life.
Yeah.
But I would say to that individual, really make sure that this is a good one for you. Don't rely on the organisation selecting you, and so therefore you must be perfect for it. They don't know you as well as you know yourself.
Yeah, of course.
And so that level of preparation and your own due diligence, your own research, your own checking in, or self-awareness and looking for the ghosts, looking for more than what they've told you.
Yes.
Talk to customers, talk to the competitors, talk to people who have left, do whatever you can to know what you're going into. Because no organisation is perfect. And I try and make that easy. When I'm doing that interview, and by the time it's got to me, they've seen usually a few people, I say at one point during the conversation, well, actually I often say it near the beginning, I am going to try and put you off, because I want you, and I'll say the same thing, look, the risk is really big for you.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you all the really horrid bits, and if it puts you off too much, that's probably a good thing for you, and it's probably a good thing for me.
Yes.
So are you happy with that? I'll check in. Yes, I'm happy for that. Great. We're really crap at this. And by the way, there's a ghost of a previous chief exec that I can't get rid of. People still talk about that individual, and they wouldn't want us to do X, Y, and Z. So whatever it is, I've slightly made that up because I can't think of a ghost of a chief exec. But
the principle's
the principle's absolutely there. And usually at the end of it, we've had we've come to a point where we go, well, that was a good conversation, because they've gone, oh yeah, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But it's okay but at least we are looking further than just selling to each other.
Yes.
All the good bits of myself and the organisation and all the good bits of the candidate, because we're all rounded.
Yes.
Organisations are rounded, individuals are rounded, good, bad, indifferent, preferences, intolerances, all of that stuff. And I think that making the choice to join somewhere with your eyes wide open is 60-70% of making it successful.
Yes.
And I think, I know your book talks about how many senior roles, I can't remember the stat,
between 30 and 50%
don't work out in the first year or something.
In the first 18 months.
First 18 months. And that's high.
Yeah.
Really
and expensive.
High. And expensive for everybody, emotionally and financially.
Absolutely.
And so let's, a real goal for an organisation is to reduce that.
Yes.
Massively reduce that. And I would say this let's try and put them off.
Early,
is a good
before
part
you
of
get
it.
to that pain point.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So my final question, and here I invite you fully into the seat of being on the board of the organisations that you support. What counsel do you give to, in addition to what you've just said, what additional counsel would you give to those organisations to, once they've made the decision, so we've decided for all the right reason this is the right person, how to get them settled in quickly? So the organisational responsibility, what's the counsel there?
So the pre-comms with the organisation.
Yes.
So how are we communicating this appointment? And it's in all of the things that I've shared today, it's about having a broader and therefore more realistic picture.
Yes.
Which is where, and I know you know this model, but where have we come from?
Yes.
And let's be really clear about that.
Yes.
Where are we now?
Yes.
And let's be honest about where we are now. And where are we going?
Lovely.
And so in all communication, when we've got a new senior leader coming in, the board should be referencing those three things.
Yes.
This is where we've come from, and we've had this fantastic line of successes. We've also had a couple of misfires about people, but maybe strategic or whatever. Well done, everybody, for getting us to this point. And what does this point look like? This point means we're doing brilliantly in America. We're doing great in India. We've now got China. We've now... Obviously, I'm making this up, but whatever the things are. But you're being honest about where we are. And then what comes next? Well, if it's all about China, then let me introduce you to.
Yes.
And so you're sharing really appropriately why this individual is coming to the organisation. You're also sharing that your eyes are wide open and that you understand the status and what's come before and where we're going, so that we're planting this individual into an environment where everybody in the organisation is like, oh, the board knows what's going on.
Yes.
Because if the board just says, delighted that we are appointing, Jane into this role, then it's like, well, why?
Yeah.
And maybe the board haven't noticed that product is going downhill, or so it's going gangbusters in America.
Yes.
They need to name it. They need to say, we understand what's going on, and that's why we're making this appointment. So I think that is a critical thing that a board needs to do. And then giving that individual access to customers, to shareholders, to staff before they start those intense first few days, whether it's 60 or whatever, and beyond. And it goes without saying that they're supportive and that the language is behind that individual, and that there is no channeling. And that happens. You know, I've joined a board where all of that was happening, back channeling into different people in the organisation. The poor chief exec was like, what is going on here? And, you know, I was on the board and I was like, guys, this will never let this person be successful. So the board has got a huge responsibility to make it, to help that individual and the organisation start brilliantly.
So Natasha, we've covered off for the candidate as they do their preparation and the importance of real conversation in the recruitment process for both parties to get to the real deal, the real situation, and making sure that both parties are set up for success. Could you just add one more layer from the recruiting side of that conversation? What are the things that you think about to make sure you are making a really good choice?
Yeah. Look, it's such a good point. I think that so many failed, you know, senior appointments are that we just didn't pick well in the first place. And that's the responsibility clearly of the organisation and the individual themselves. We've talked about that. But what I look for, and every leader will have different things that they really care about, but across most of the different disciplines, I'm testing and looking for three really core things. And the first is, how much research have they done? And that really tells me about their levels of curiosity. It tells me about their levels of effort. How much effort do you go to get to the right answer? I'm not saying you, Tess, I'm saying the candidate. Because I know in my organisation that that's what I want from my senior leaders. I want a lot of effort. I'm not asking for 16 hours a day. I'm asking for somebody who will do the work and not just...
do what's needed.
Do what's needed, exactly. Rather than, well, let's think of what the opposite of that is. Oh, well, I think I know what the answer is. I'll just crack on and, you know, not test it, not explore other alternatives. And so how much research they've done tells me a lot. And curiosity is an interesting thing because I hear people use the word all the time. I use it all the time. I usually bang it in as a value. What do I really mean by that? And it is about that desire to get better answers. And to get better answers, I probably need to know more. So curiosity really is about gaining information and insight and not just being happy with what I'm presented with, what's in front of me. So that's what I mean by curiosity. And I think it is such an important attribute because all I have to do is think about the opposite of that is just awful, isn't it? You know, no, I'm not curious. I had one of my senior leaders say to me, don't bother sending me on any training courses. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I mean, I just sort of was like, as I am now, slightly didn't know what to say. Oh dear, that doesn't fit with, you know.
That's information.
With my values. That's good information. Thank you for that. And actually, that was what he thought of himself. It was rubbish. He was always learning new things. I had to get him to create a whole digital product from a print product. He was brilliant at it, you know. So it was just
he had an old narrative.
He had an old narrative that didn't suit him. But anyway, so he got to stay because his self-awareness was poor, but his actions were good.
Okay,
so that's number one, the research thing. The second thing is I want them to be analytical so that they can articulate how they've been successful, not just that they've been successful. So I want my senior leaders not just to be able, you know, to tell me about, oh, I ran this business and it was so good and we took all of this market share. I want them to be able to say, and it was a really simple strategy. It was through great customer service and pricing power. I don't want long stories of getting lost. Either long stories short stories of I'm fabulous through to long stories of the 56 things that you did. I changed the IT system. Well, that probably wasn't why you were successful. I want them to be able to know what were the 1, 2, 3, because it's never more than that, things that really made the difference. And then the third thing is I want to know that they are very connected to targets. I want them to say, my last 4 targets were whatever it is, selling a company for 100 million or generating 15 new platforms for something. I don't care. But I want them to be able to very easily play back to me. I had a goal to do this and I missed it for this reason, or I hit it, or I went over it. And to be able to talk their career through targets and achievements against targets, because then I know they take them seriously. Then I know that I can, if they say to me, I'm going to hit 10 or I'm going to hire 100 or whatever it is, I know that that's something that means something to them. Because there are lots of people where a target is an aspiration rather than a promise. And I'm really happy with it being either, but I need that to be signposted to say the aspiration is 20, but the promise is 10. And then we can all decide whether that's okay. So they're my 3 things: obsessed with targets, knowing analytical, knowing how they've been successful, and that research effort, and curiosity equals research.
Brilliant. Very clear, as I would expect when you're saying you've got 3 criteria, so you've been equally clear on what they are. Natasha, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Tess.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.